especially in Victorville, 80–90% of the people up there go to church. Some go to white, some go to Hispanic, some go to black. I said, well, what if we all got together as one? So we call it a oneness celebration. And the one thing that we have as Christians is that we all believe that Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
We all believe, regardless of race, regardless of faith, as Christians, that's the one thing we believe in. So I said, well, as mayor, I have access, and most of the churches ask me to speak, and I also speak at all the churches, regardless of faith. I would always speak. So I used my, as position as mayor, to talk to some of the ministers, and so I got together with some of the larger churches up there, Pastor Tommy Anderson of the Church of God in Christ, and some of the churches in Apple Valley. And we formed this committee to hold a oneness celebration in the high desert. And we had it at Church of the Valley. And I also, during that time, I said, who can we get to help us to attract people? So I talked to Dale Evans and Roy Rogers. So Roy and Dale agreed to join us. They are big Christians, especially Dale in those days. And she actually had a program called A Date with Dale on the Trinity Broadcasting Network.
Yeah.
So Dale got involved. She invited me to come to and record on her show. I did several times. My wife sang on her show.
Yeah.
So we were on that 3 or 4 times.
Wow.
And so when we held this oneness celebration, it was at Church of the Valley in Apple Valley. We had over 5,000 people come out. And that was God. See, that was God. I'm just saying, it was all races, all religions of the Christian faith.
Yeah.
And we had bagpipe processionals. We had an integrated choir with 500 or 600 members.
Wow.
And we did this. We had this oneness celebration for 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
So I for some reason, the press never really talked about it that much, but I really see that as one of my biggest achievements.
Awesome.
And then also, during those days, there was a group that sponsored marches all over the nation called the March for Jesus. And, having in Los Angeles, they had March for Jesus and all that. But we held one in Victorville. And one of my friends was a guy by the name of Pastor Eddie Angel, who was pastor of one of the Hispanic churches. He asked me to get involved, and we worked on it. And we actually had the largest march in the nation for the March for Jesus, larger than Los Angeles, right there in Victorville. So that's why I said God put me there. He put me there for a reason,
Yes.
and I did those things that I was supposed to do. And those are just some of the few things. One, real simple things that I've done. People that were on welfare, that were being mistreated, that couldn't get their welfare check. I've had people call me, and I would actually go down. I went and picked one lady up, took her to the welfare office, and they asked, who is this? She said, this is my mayor. And I said, yes, ma'am, I'm here with Mrs. Such and so, and I understand she's having difficulty. She couldn't find an attorney. We're not looking to sue anybody, but she needs some money. So I worked with them, and she got her welfare. Other things I've done, there was one lady came to me, and she said, Mayor Busby, she had a leg amputated. She said, I need a wheelchair. And I said, well, city, we don't really get involved in that. She said, Mayor Busby, I need your help, and I know you're a good man. I see you at church, and you said you're a good man. So I said, okay. So I called one of the hospitals up there. I knew a Dr. Prim Reddy who owned Desert Valley Hospital. I said, Dr. Reddy, I got a parishioner. Really, she has one leg. She needs a wheelchair. Gave her a wheelchair.
Wow.
And the reason I can remember this, I ran into her son about 15 years later, and he said, Mayor Busby, I was a little boy, and he said, my mom had a leg amputated, and we couldn't move around, and she came to you and you got a wheelchair. You said, I'll never forget that.
Awesome.
So it's those kind of things that are meaningful. Going to the elementary schools, talking to the young people. I would go out. I had a young girl call me. She must have been in about the 7th grade, and she said, Mayor Busby, a little Hispanic girl. She said, I would like to invite you to school to speak. I said, well, okay, but make sure you clear it. She gave me a date and time, and I showed up, and the teacher said, Mayor Busby, why are you? I said, well, such and so told me to come, and I'm here to speak. And she said, oh, she said that you were coming, but I didn't believe her. Well, I don't know why she invited me. So I work with the people. That's all. That's all. As a matter of fact, as my wife said, you are the people's mayor.
Awesome.
So that's really where I am.
Awesome. We are about to close from the hour that we're taping in. So I want to offer you this opportunity to give a summary of your life experience. It can be personal, it can be about your professional achievements, but as you reflect on the fact that God puts you here and that you have served and are serving, and as you look at generations that are coming, because this tape is going to be a message to people you'll never meet at some point in the future. What would you like them to know about you and your service?
I think that the most important thing, especially for the young people, is to understand that anything is possible. You just have to believe, and you have to have faith in something. Yeah, I say God, but you have to have faith and follow the examples of those people that have blazed the trail before you, because there are very few things that haven't been done, and it's up to you to kind of just take what they've done and improve upon it. Like we're into music now. We all have the iPhones and with the little iPods and things. Well, records have always been around. They were vinyl, then they went to the tape, and now they're on CD. So improve upon what's already there. And a primary thing is to be able to do that, you got to be educated. You got to go to school. High school won't do it. High school is a good start, but from high school, as a minimum, go to some trade school or junior college. It doesn't cost that much to go to junior college or trade school, and you can do it. So do those things. The ultimate is to try and get a 4-year degree, but not everybody's going to get a 4-year degree. And that's one of the things I liked about President Obama. He wants to make the 2-year education free to everyone. And so, get your education. And again, just keep in mind, I'm just a simple guy. And by the way, I'm the oldest of 9 children. I had 9 children. My father died when I was 12. So when my father died, I went to work. I started going to work at 2 in the morning and throwing papers. I worked with a guy who had a large paper route. So I worked on that job until I left to go to service. I was actually 19 and in college. I started at 12 and worked my way through that. And that gave me the background. As a matter of fact, since I was getting up at 2 o'clock all the time, when I went to the service, they would say, boy, you got to get up at 5 o'clock. Well, see, I had overslept for 3 hours. So life is what you make of it. And you just got to grab it and run with it. I teach my children that now. And I have grandchildren that have finished from University of Texas. They finished from Iowa. And by the way, half of my grandchildren are Hispanic and black, the other half are just black. So we have an integrated family, and one of the things I teach them is that the ones who have they have a Hispanic father is to understand their Hispanic heritage and also to understand their black heritage. And they do.
Yes.
They do, I mean, they understand it perfectly, and they're doing very well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, again, I want to thank Jim Busby for so much for this interview. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.